In a tragic bike accident on a Sunday morning, Mrs. Sarah lost her husband and only daughter. She has always wanted a large and beautiful family until she came across a notice of 5 brothers that was up for adoption after losing their parents in a car accident on the street of Lagos. She raised them like her own, but what happened next was unexpected. The sun was just rising in Lagos. Cars honked, people walked fast, and small shops opened their doors. But in one small, old house at the end of Afunsatan Street, a new day started very differently. Inside, Mrs. Sarah was already up. She stood at the stove, flipping akra balls in hot oil. The smell of fried beans filled the air. Mrs. Sarah was 52. She had soft eyes and always tied her head with a neat scarf. 10 years ago, she lost her husband and only son in a bike crash. They were going to church. It rained a little that morning. A car ran a red light, and everything changed. Since then, her house felt empty. Until 5 boys came into her life. The boys, Tope, Dimeji, Kola, Fola, and Sei, were brothers. Their parents died in a car crash when Sei, the youngest, was just 5. No one wanted to take them. Family members argued and left them behind. Mrs. Sarah, who lived on the same street, heard about them from a neighbor. She didn't think twice. She just said, "Bring them to me." That first night was hard. The boys cried. Even the older ones like Tope and Dimeji were scared. Mrs. Sarah sat with them, told them stories, and made them pap with milk. She cleaned their wounds, folded their clothes, and gave them 5 new beds in her small home. It was tight, but full of love. Years passed. The small house changed. The boys went to school. They learned how to fix things, how to read, how to help in the kitchen. They laughed again. Sarah became Mama to them all. Her days were long, cleaning, cooking, working in people's homes to make extra money, but she never showed them her pain. She said, "Love makes us strong." But not everyone liked what she was doing. A neighbor named Auntie Ngozi always shook her head. "Why would she take in 5 boys that aren't hers?" she whispered. "She must be hiding something." Sarah never answered. She only smiled. Late one night, as Sarah folded laundry and looked at the boys sleeping, she whispered to herself, "God, thank you for giving me 5 new sons." And outside the window, as wind blew through the trees, Lagos slept. It was Saturday morning. The sun was high, and Sarah was already at Tejuosho Market. She carried a heavy basket filled with onions, pepper, and tomatoes. The boys had grown stronger, taller, and louder. They ate like lions, and she needed to cook enough food to feed them all. Tope, now 17, had started working part-time at a mechanic shop. Dimeji was writing WAEC. Kola and Fola played football after school, and Sei always had his nose in a book. They weren't just surviving. They were living. But Sarah still had to do many jobs to keep things going. At the market, a woman selling plantains called to her, "Ah, Mama boys. You go by today?" Sarah laughed. That was what everyone called her now, Mama boys. She bargained well, paid cash, and never owed anyone. People respected her, even if they didn't understand her choice. While picking vegetables, Sarah heard her name. Madam Sarah. She turned. It was Mr. Gok, an old friend of her late husband. He looked surprised. "I heard you took in 5 boys. Is it true?" "Yes," Sarah said. "They are my sons now." He shook his head slowly. "You are brave." "I am not brave," she replied. "I am a mother." Back home, the boys had cleaned the house. Sei had written a poem and was waiting to read it. When Sarah came in, they all ran to help her with the basket. Inside it, she had bought a surprise, 1 whole chicken. It wasn't anyone's birthday. She just wanted to see them smile. That night, after dinner, they sat outside. The power was out, but the stars were out too. Tope looked at her and said, "Mama, I promise you. One day, we'll build you a new house. No one will ever laugh at our small place again." She smiled, but her heart was full. That promise planted a seed inside each of them. And somewhere, quietly, a letter was being typed in an office far away. A letter that would reach one of the boys soon, and begin to change everything. The week began like any other. Cars honked down Afunsadon Street, and the smell of puff-puff from roadside sellers danced in the air. But inside their small home, something unusual had arrived. Tope, still wearing his oil-stained mechanic shirt, brought in a white envelope with no stamp. "Mama. They gave me this at the workshop," he said, handing it to Sarah. Sarah looked at it closely. No stamp, no sender name. Just, Tope Adebayo, typed on the front in clean letters. Her hands paused for a moment. "Open it," she said quietly. Tope tore it open. The paper inside had a fancy logo at the top, Lagos Institute of Engineering. His eyes widened as he read it. His voice shook. "Mama. I got in. I got the scholarship. Full tuition. They want me to start next month." Everyone froze. Then Sei screamed, "Tope," and ran to hug him. Sarah covered her mouth. Her eyes watered, but she didn't let a single tear fall. Instead, she held Tope's face in her hands and said, "You see? You kept your promise already. One step at a time, my son." The house was full of joy that night. Even the rice tasted better. Tope danced. Kola played music on an old speaker. The neighbors came to celebrate. Even Auntie Ngozi peeked through her window, her face unreadable. But deep inside, Tope felt nervous. Was he really ready? Could he leave Mama and the others and go live on campus? Who would fix the generator now? Who would check the leaking pipe? He didn't say any of that out loud. He just smiled. But doubt had started to grow inside him like a small, hidden plant. Later that night, after everyone slept, Sarah sat outside in her wrapper. She looked at the moon and whispered to the night, "Please let my boys become great men. But let them never forget who they are." From the shadows across the road, a car pulled up slowly, quietly. Someone watched the small house and took notes. 1 week later, a man in a dark suit arrived on Afunsadon Street. He stood tall, with a smooth face and sunglasses. Everyone turned to look. This street didn't get visitors in suits, not unless someone had died or owed money. He walked straight to Mama Sarah's house. The boys were outside, washing clothes in a big basin. Sei squinted. "Who is that?" The man spoke calmly. "Good afternoon. I'm looking for Tope Adebayo." Tope stepped forward. "I'm Tope." The man smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I work for a private education sponsor. You've been selected for a special mentorship program. You'll get more than just school fees. A laptop, internship, even a monthly allowance." Everyone stared. Sarah came out, wiping her hands on her wrapper. "Sorry sir," she said politely. "Where are you from again?" The man showed her a printed badge, but it didn't say much. "Just a name, Mr. Bello, Youth Advancement Network." "Why now?" she asked. "Why not go through the school?" Mr. Bello gave a practiced smile. "Madam, you have no idea how gifted your son is. We've been watching him. He can go far, if he follows the right people." Tope looked at Mama. She was quiet. Thinking. He felt the pressure in the air. A special program? A bigger chance? He had promised to help Mama. Maybe this was the shortcut. But Sarah's voice cut through the moment. soft but firm. "We'll think about it." The man gave her a card. "Don't take too long. Opportunities don't wait forever." He turned and walked off like a shadow. The street whispered after him. Some neighbors came closer, asking, "Who was that man?" "Big man things oh." Inside, Tope stared at the card. His name was written in gold letters. Below it, a quote, "Only the brave rise." That night, he didn't sleep well. He kept hearing Mr. Bellow's words. "We've been watching him." It rained heavily 2 days before Tope was to leave for university. The water ran in small rivers down the street. Inside the house, Sarah packed his things: 3 shirts, 2 jeans, a pair of bathroom slippers, 1 notebook, and a small rechargeable lamp. Everything fit into one travel bag. "Don't forget your sponge," she said, slipping it into the side pocket. Tope sat nearby, quiet. His hands were still, but his mind raced. Mama had not spoken again about Mr. Bellow's offer, and neither had he. But the card sat at the bottom of his bag, tucked between pages of his Bible studies notebook. Kola entered the room and dropped a packet of cabin biscuits in the bag. "For when school food messes with your stomach," he joked. Tope smiled, weakly. That evening, they ate together. No music. Just soft talk and slow chewing. Sarah looked around the table at the faces she had raised, then turned to Tope. "You were the first to call me Mama," she said. "The others copied you." Tope smiled. "Because you are. You will be far away," she continued, "but let your heart stay close." At dawn, the family walked Tope to the junction. A small bus waited. Sei cried openly. Daimeji tried not to. Kola and Fola hugged him like they were giving him extra strength. Sarah didn't say a word. She just handed him a nylon bag with his favorite food, jollof rice and fried fish. As the bus pulled away, Tope looked back. Sarah stood straight, her wrapper tied tightly, her face unreadable. Only her eyes spoke, and they said, "Go. Shine. But never forget." 3 weeks into university life, Tope felt both bigger and smaller. His shoes no longer stepped on muddy streets, but on clean marble floors. His class had central AC. For the first time in his life, he had Wi-Fi in his room. He texted the boys every night, shared memes, and asked Mama if she'd eaten. But inside, he felt strange, like he was in a borrowed movie. One afternoon, after a robotics lab, he saw a familiar black car outside the campus gates. As he walked past it, the window rolled down. "Mr. Bellow." "I told you, Tope," he said. "I said you'd rise." Tope hesitated. He remembered Mama's silence. But the car looked warm, and the sun was burning. Against his better judgment, he entered. Inside the car was cold and smelled like leather. Mr. Bellow offered a drink. Tope refused politely. "I don't have much time," Tope said. "You're not here just to pass exams," Mr. Bellow replied. "We see leaders before they know who they are. You can't stay small, Tope. There's a world waiting for you to lead it." Tope frowned. "But I just started. I haven't led anything." Mr. Bellow leaned closer. "We'll train you. Private sessions. Advanced learning. Powerful people want to meet you." Tope's heart pounded. "Why me?" Mr. Bellow smirked. "Why not you?" When Tope got back to his hostel, he found a new smartphone on his bed. No note. No receipt. Just the device, shining like temptation. That night, he didn't call Mama. And 600 kilometers away, in her small kitchen, Sarah dropped a spoon without meaning to. It clattered loudly, making Sei jump. "Mama, are you okay?" She smiled and picked it up. "Yes, my son, Just a small noise. That's all. But her eyes stayed on the window for a long time. Back on Afunsiton Street, things had quieted. Life went on without Tope, but something about the house felt different. Fola noticed it first. The jokes at dinner didn't land the same. The chores felt heavier. Even Mama, who always sang while cooking, had fallen silent. But it was Daimeji who truly sensed something was off. He sat outside one evening, scrolling through old pictures on the family's shared phone. It was then he saw it, a picture of Tope holding a sleek phone, one he had never seen before. In the background was a black SUV. The same kind from the day that man in the suit had visited. Daimeji frowned. He opened their group chat. Daimeji, Tope, where did you get that phone? Tope, someone gave it to me. Daimeji, who? Tope, relax. It's part of the scholarship. They're helping me more than the school can. Daimeji, they? You mean Mr. Bello? Tope, yeah. He's legit. Daimeji, did Mama say yes to that? No reply. That night, Daimeji stayed awake, thinking. He remembered the way Mr. Bello looked at them like he already owned their future. Something didn't sit right. Daimeji had always been the quiet one. He watched people closely. And now his instinct said, something isn't clean. So, he started digging. He borrowed a friend's laptop at school and searched for Youth Advancement Network. No website. No social media. Nothing but one newspaper article from 4 years ago, where someone accused the group of fraud, but the article had been taken down. Luckily, Daimeji had saved a screenshot just in time. He stared at the man in the photo. It was Mr. Bello. The next day, Daimeji printed the image and tucked it into his school notebook. He came straight home from school, ignored football practice, and walked into the house like someone with weight in his chest. Mama Sarah was peeling yam on the front step. Mama, can we talk? She looked up. Always. He sat beside her, pulled out the photo, and handed it to her. I don't think Mr. Bello is who he says he is, Daimeji said. Sarah took the paper in her hand. She didn't blink for a long time. Then she whispered, I knew. Daimeji looked confused. You knew? I knew something wasn't right. People like him don't come to places like ours without a price. I didn't want to scare you boys, so I kept quiet. So what do? We wait. Tope has to find out for himself. He's a man now. But what if it's too late? Sarah stood slowly, her joints aching. She looked at the sky. Dark clouds were gathering. Sometimes, a mother must let her son walk into the storm to learn how to carry an umbrella. But not everyone in the family was waiting. Sei had overheard them. Later that night, while everyone else slept, he took the old family phone and sent Tope a voice note. Tope, I think Mr. Bello is dangerous. Please talk to Mama. Please, don't go far from us. He hit send. But across the campus, Tope never saw the message. His new phone had a different SIM card. And on that phone, a text had arrived. Unknown number. Meet us tomorrow at the Grand House, room 504. Alone. Time to begin your real future. Tope stood in front of the Grand House, one of the tallest buildings on the island. Glass walls, metal doors, and a guard in a white shirt who didn't even blink. It didn't feel like school. It felt like a different world. He checked the message again. Room 504. Alone. 3 p.m. Tope adjusted his shirt and entered. The elevator ride was silent, except for the soft music playing inside. It made his stomach twist. He stepped out onto the 5th floor and found room 504 easily. It was the only one with a silver number plate and a camera above the door. He knocked. Once. The door opened by itself. Inside, everything was white: white table, white walls, white suits on the men who sat waiting. "Mr. Adebayo," one of them said. "Welcome." Tope stepped in. Mr. Bello was already there, holding a glass of wine, smiling. "I knew you'd come." Tope sat down slowly. "Why me? Why are you all doing this?" A woman in a gray dress leaned forward. "Because you're clean. You own nothing. You carry loyalty like a crown. Men like that are rare." Tope felt a chill. "What do you want from me?" Mr. Bello smiled wider. "Loyalty. Silence. And trust. We want to invest in you. You'll intern with a private firm. High pay. Fast track. But it comes with a rule: you don't ask questions. You just do what we say." Tope blinked. "Is that legal?" "Let's say it's flexible," the woman said. "If you follow us, your mother will never lack again. Ever. We'll fix your house. Pay your brother's school fees. But you'll belong to us now. No going back." Tope felt the heat in his chest. This was more than a scholarship. It was a trade. "I need time," he said finally. Mr. Bello leaned closer. "You have 48 hours. After that, the door closes forever." As Tope stood to leave, he noticed something odd: his name was already printed on a file marked, "Next Class." They had planned this long ago. Back in Mushin, the family house didn't feel like home anymore. Fola had come back from football training to find Kola punching the wall in frustration. "Kola, what's wrong?" he asked. Kola threw the old ball across the room. "Tope's lying." "What do you mean?" "He's not telling us what's really happening over there. Ever since he left, he's changed." Short replies. One-word answers. "He used to send us funny videos every night. Now, nothing." Fola bit his lip. "Maybe he's just busy." "No," Kola said firmly. "He's hiding something." Then Daimeji entered, holding his notebook. He opened it and showed them the printed photo of Mr. Bello and the old newspaper article. "This is who Tope's with." Fola stared at the photo. "But, that guy gave him a scholarship." "No," Daimeji replied. "That guy gave him a leash." They all sat in silence. The three brothers felt it, that shift, that cold breeze that meant something was slipping away. Then came the biggest shock. That night, someone knocked on their door. Sei opened it. A delivery man handed Sarah a large envelope with her name printed neatly on the front. Inside was a contract. It said, "Proposal, relocation of Madam Sarah Adebayo to new residence, property fully paid." The brothers gathered around. Inside was a photo of a beautiful bungalow on the island, with Sarah's name already on the land documents. "No sender," Sei whispered. "No message." But Daimeji already knew. He looked at the house. Then at the paper. Then at Mama. "This is how they do it," he whispered. "They start with comfort. Then they ask for silence." Sarah said nothing. She folded the paper, put it back in the envelope, and walked to her bedroom without a word. The boys watched her close the door gently. No one slept well that night. Not even Tope, who sat in his hostel room, staring at two things: the scholarship file on one side and Mama's smiling photo on the other. Two futures. One decision. And the clock ticking down. Tope didn't go to class that day. He sat under a tree near the back of the university library. It was quiet there, with only the sound of birds and the occasional passing student. The file from Mr. Bello rested on his lap. It felt heavier than it looked. The name Tope Adebayo was printed in sharp, bold ink at the top. Below, A contract waited for his signature. He picked up his phone and hovered over Mama's number. His thumb trembled. But he didn't call. Instead, he scrolled through old photos, the day Say lost his first tooth and refused to smile, the time Kola fell into a gutter and laughed like it was a swimming pool, Mama holding 5 lunch boxes on her head, smiling like a queen. He closed his eyes. The choice was simple, yet not. Mr. Bello had said. You want to give your mother comfort? Sign. Tope looked around once more, then reached for a pen. Just as he was about to sign, his phone buzzed. It was Dimeji. Dimeji. We know who Bello really is. Don't sign anything. Mama got a house document today, no name, no sender. She hasn't said a word. But we know it's connected to you. Whatever you're into, get out. Tope's chest tightened.
He stared at the file. The pen fell from his fingers. His eyes burned, and shame crawled up his neck. They knew. They all knew. Tope returned to his hostel in silence. That night, he sat at his desk and wrote something by hand. 1 page. No lies. No cover-ups. Just the truth. He folded the letter, placed it in an envelope, and wrote. Mama, please forgive me. I thought I could help you faster. I was wrong. Tope. He left campus early the next morning. No explanation. No luggage. He only took the letter. But as he entered the bus to Mushin, a hand gripped his shoulder. It was Mr. Bello. Tope froze. You're not going anywhere, Bello said softly, his voice a whisper wrapped in steel. You think you can walk away? Tope shook his head. I haven't signed anything. But you listened. You sat in our chair. You heard things. That's enough. Tope looked him in the eye. If you touch my family, I will expose everything. Mr. Bello smiled, as if amused. Then he stepped back and walked away. Tope stayed on the bus, heart pounding. Back in Mushin, the boys were waiting. Sarah sat quietly on the wooden chair outside, peeling corn like nothing had changed. But her eyes rose the moment Tope stepped out of the bus. She didn't speak. She didn't move. He knelt before her and handed her the letter with shaking hands. I'm sorry, Mama, he whispered. I forgot where I came from. Sarah took the letter, tore it slowly in half, and then again, and again, until the pieces fell like soft ash. She touched his head gently. You remembered, she said. That night, as the family ate together again, the house felt full. But outside, in a car parked 2 blocks away, Mr. Bello lit a cigarette, made a call, and said just one word. Plan B. The next target wasn't Tope. It was Kola. He was the bold one, the fast talker. A future football star, they all said. Local scouts already noticed him, and he'd just turned 18. Coaches from 2 academies had made promises. Europe wasn't far anymore. So, when a black car parked outside the community pitch and a man in a branded sports jacket stepped out, no one thought anything was wrong. The man waved Kola over after training. I've been watching your game. You're raw. But you're ready. We're selecting boys for a development camp in Abuja. You're on my list. Kola's eyes lit up. Abuja? He asked. Fully funded. Everything. Gear, travel, food. But it's not public yet, the man added. Just between us, yeah. Kola nodded, his heart pounding. They shook hands. But the man didn't give a card. No company name. Just a location. Palmgate Hotel, room 210, 7 p.m. tomorrow. Come alone. At home, Kola almost said something. Almost. But then he saw Tope's quiet face at dinner, and the way Mama kept watching the door, like she expected bad news to walk in. So he stayed silent. The next night, he told them he was going to train late. And at exactly 7:05 p.m., Kola knocked on the hotel room door. Room 210 was cold and smelled of lemon spray. 2 men sat inside. Not the scout, 2 others. One tall and bald, the other small with thick glasses. "Sit, Kola," the bald man said. Kola frowned. "Where's the coach?" "He sent us," the man with glasses replied. "He's impressed, but you need to pass one more test." "What kind of test?" Kola asked. They slid a file toward him. Inside was a printed conversation. His brother Tope's name was all over it. It was a copy of text messages from weeks ago. Tope doubting Mr. Bello. Tope saying he wouldn't play along. Tope threatening to expose them. Kola's mouth went dry. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because we want to know if he's still loyal," the bald man said. "And you can help us check." Kola pushed back his chair. "You want me to spy on my brother?" "No," the man said calmly. "We want you to choose your own future." They handed him a sealed envelope. "Inside is your ticket. If you take it, you're in. If not, well, people forget faces in football very fast." Kola stood, shaking. He didn't take the envelope. He walked out. Fast. By the time he got home, Mama was waiting on the front step again. Like she knew. Like she always knew. Kola didn't say anything. He just went to her and sat beside her. She placed her hand gently on his head. "You didn't take it, did you?" Kola whispered, "No, Mama." "Then you still have everything," she said. That night, all the brothers met in the small living room. They told each other everything. Tope's letter. Daimeji's discovery. Kola's hotel meeting. Even the car that parked down the street every Tuesday but never turned its lights off. "We're not safe anymore," Daimeji said. "And it's not just about school or dreams now. They're trying to pull us apart." "But why?" Fola asked, shaking. "We're just boys from Mushin." "Exactly," Tope said. "And we're together. That's the threat." Then Sei, quiet all this time, looked up and said something that froze the room. "What if Mama is the real reason they're after us?" Silence. Then all eyes turned to the one woman who had held them together. And outside the house, Mr. Bello's car waited once again. That weekend, Sarah woke early. The boys were still asleep, tired from the emotional weight of the last few days. But she needed space. So she went to her small garden. It wasn't much, 3 tomato plants, some ogu, a struggling pawpaw tree, but it was hers. She picked dry leaves and cleared the weeds quietly, like she was clearing her mind too. When Daimeji came out to fetch water, he stopped at the door and watched her. She looked peaceful. Focused. Like nothing was wrong. But he knew better. He walked over and knelt beside her. "Mama, are you worried?" Sarah didn't look up. She kept tending the leaves. "Yes." "Is it about Mr. Bello?" She nodded. "And something else." "What is it?" She turned to him, her eyes soft but serious. "Love is not just about taking care of people. Sometimes, love means letting them go where you cannot follow." Daimeji didn't understand. She continued, "I am not your enemy's target. You are. Because I've already lived my life. But you 5, you're what the world is watching. Because what you have is rare." "What do we have?" he asked. She touched his chest gently. "Each other." Later that day, she called all 5 boys into the living room. They sat, nervous, expecting warnings or lectures. But she surprised them. "I have a new rule," she said. They blinked. No more secrets. If anything happens, anything strange, you tell all of us. No shame. No hiding. We face everything as one house. Agreed? They nodded. Even Sei smiled. Agreed, Mama. And just like that, the cracks began to close. But something else happened too. Unity attracted new attention. 3 days later, a phone rang. Not theirs. It was the old family line, barely used anymore. They kept it in a drawer by the window. Sarah answered it with a polite, "Hello." A warm voice replied. "Mrs. Adebayo. My name is Miss Eniton. I work with the Lagos Future Youth Foundation. We've been watching your family, not in a bad way. In a hopeful way." Sarah paused. "Hopeful?" "Yes, ma'am. We've seen how you raised 5 boys on your own. How they're growing into strong, kind, intelligent young men. We believe stories like yours can change lives." Sarah was quiet. The voice continued, "We'd like to feature your family in our nationwide youth series. It's about strength through unity. It's a public project. You will be compensated. Your sons will be seen, not for the money they make, but for the love that raised them." Sarah still said nothing. "I know this is sudden," Miss Eniton added. "But it's real. No tricks. If you agree, we'd like to meet the whole family this weekend at our office on Victoria Island." Sarah looked out the window. The street was quiet. The boys were inside, laughing. For the first time in weeks, she felt the sun on her skin without fear. She spoke gently. "We'll think about it." When she told the boys, they listened quietly. It sounded good. For once, a door that opened didn't feel like a trap. But Tope raised his hand. "Mama, how do we know this isn't another version of Mr. Bello?" Sarah looked at each of her sons and said. "We don't. But we go together. And if it's good, we go forward. If it's wrong, we turn back. But either way, we go as one." That evening, the 6 of them stood outside the house, hand in hand. They didn't know what the weekend would bring. But they knew one thing. Whatever came next, they would face it with love. On Tuesday evening, the air felt heavy with heat. Power was out, and mosquitoes buzzed near the windows. The boys sat on the floor, fanning themselves with books. Sei was drawing comics, Tope read quietly, and Kola was asleep with a wrapper over his face. Then Fola said something strange. "I need to show you all something." They looked up. "What is it?" Daimeji asked. Fola stood, walked to the back room, and motioned for them to follow. They filed in, one by one, until they stood before the old wooden cabinet Mama had kept since they arrived in her home. Fola reached behind it and pulled at the wall. To their surprise, a thin piece of plywood moved aside. He ducked through the space and entered a narrow room. Dust floated in the air. There was only one thing inside, a wooden box. "Since I was little, I've come here to think," Fola said. "I used to hide here when I missed our parents. But I stopped coming when I realized. Mama made this house a better home than the one we lost." He opened the box. Inside were drawings. Poems. Notes. All 5 brothers had written things over the years and given them to Mama as gifts. She had kept every one of them. "I found them here 2 years ago," Fola said. She didn't say anything. She never even told us this room existed. They were quiet for a long time. Then Tope whispered, "She's been loving us in ways we didn't even see." Sei pulled out a drawing of the house, with 6 stick figures holding hands. "She never made us feel like we didn't belong," he said. Kola smiled. "And she never asked for anything back." They spent an hour reading everything, laughing, wiping their eyes, holding memories in their hands. And just like that, the room stopped being a hiding place. It became a reminder of how far they'd come, of how much they were loved, and of how much they had to protect. 3 days later, the rain came heavy and loud. The water beat the roof like a talking drum. Sarah stood at the window, watching it fall, a soft smile on her face. She always loved the rain. It reminded her that even the sky had emotions. That was when there was a knock. Not the loud kind. A soft knock. Tope opened the door. A young delivery man stood in a transparent raincoat, soaked from head to toe. He handed over a sealed envelope and jogged off before they could ask anything. The envelope was clean. Too clean. Tope brought it to the table. All 6 of them gathered around. There was no name on it. No logo. Just a single line written across the seal. You still have a choice. They looked at each other. Sarah opened it slowly. Inside were 5 smaller envelopes, one for each of the boys. Each had their name written in handwriting that looked familiar, almost like it had been copied from an old schoolbook. Inside each envelope was a letter, not threatening, not cruel. Just kind. Clever. Tempting. Fola's letter spoke of a chance to join a private football club, no contracts, no pressure, just room to grow. Daimeji's letter offered free access to a tech program, claiming someone had seen his science competition results. Sei's letter invited him to a writing camp with other, bright, young minds. Each letter felt personal, warm, and safe. But that's what made them dangerous. Tope read his letter last. It said, "Not everyone will understand what you're meant to become. But someone does. Don't waste your loyalty on people who keep you small." Sarah placed all 5 letters back on the table. She said nothing. She just turned to the boys and waited. Tope was the first to speak. "It's not about what they're offering. It's about who's offering it." Daimeji added, "They've tried pressure. Now they're trying praise." Kola said, "They don't need to break us. They just need to divide us." Fola nodded. "Even if it sounds good, it's not worth our family." Sei looked up at Mama and asked, "Should we burn them?" Sarah shook her head. "No. Keep them. Keep them as proof." She picked up the biggest envelope and wrote across the top in red pen, "We chose love." Then she put it on the shelf beside the old family photo. And the rain kept falling. But the house, like always, stayed dry. Together. Years passed. Slowly at first. Then all at once. The small house on Afunsitan Street remained. But inside, everything changed, not because the walls grew wider or the roof stopped leaking, but because the boys Sarah once rescued had grown into men. Tope, now an engineer, worked with a local construction firm focused on building affordable homes in Lagos. He was the youngest in his department, but the most respected. They called him the bridge builder, not just for the roads he designed, but for the people he helped connect. Daimeji became a tech developer. His mobile app for free school tutorials had reached more than 100,000 users. It was powered by solar data and run on old phones, the very kind they used to share growing up. He named it Mama Taught Us. Kola chased football not for fame, but for purpose. He opened a free training camp for boys who had lost parents, just like he had once been. People said he could have gone to Europe, but he always smiled and said, "The real field I play on is here." Fola, with his soft heart and quick feet, became a teacher at a primary school not far from the house. He used music and movement to teach maths. Children loved him. Parents trusted him. The principal once asked where he learned such gentleness. He simply said, "Home." Sei, the youngest, published his first novel at 22. It told the story of 5 brothers and the woman who raised them. The title was simple, Mama. The book spread across libraries and schools. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was true. One morning, a white car stopped on Afunsaton Street. A man stepped out holding a small notepad and a camera. "Good day," he said, peeking over the gate. "I'm looking for the home of Madame Sarah Adebayo." A boy sweeping the compound answered without looking up. "You found it. But you should know, sir." The man raised a brow. "Know what?" "She's already famous. Just, not the kind you can put in a paper." It was Tope who came home first. He had keys to 3 apartments across the city, yet somehow, he still found himself returning to the little house with 5 beds. He knocked out of habit, even though he had a key. Mama Sarah opened the door herself. She was older now. Wrinkles lined her cheeks like a soft road map of love. But her eyes were still steady. Still warm. They hugged for a long time. "I just wanted to sit on my old bed," Tope said. "Your bed is still there," she replied. "Right next to your brother's." That weekend, they all came home. All 5. No matter how far they had gone, the house was still home. They took turns cooking. Kola burned the stew, Fola added too much salt, and Mama laughed until her sides hurt. After dinner, they sat outside just like they used to, 6 plastic chairs under the guava tree. "I keep thinking about those letters," Fola said quietly. "The ones from them?" Daimeji asked. He nodded. "Funny how kind their words were. And how close we came to listening." Tope said, "But we didn't. Because Mama never taught us fear. She taught us love." Sei, sipping Zobo slowly, said, "And because of that, we never felt like orphans." Mama looked around. No one spoke. Even the breeze paused. She smiled and whispered, "You never were." The next morning, the boys gathered early. They had something to show her. Tope led her by the hand through the dusty path across the main road, just a short walk away. There stood a new house. Simple. Clean. Soft yellow paint. Wide windows. A small front garden. The sign above the door said, "Mama Sarah's place." It was hers. But it wasn't a gift. It was a thank you. "I don't need a bigger house," she said, smiling. Tope shook his head. "It's not about space, Mama. It's about honor. You gave us your whole life," Daimeji added. "We just built you a place to rest." They moved her in gently. Kept her old plates. Kept her old chair. And in the center of the new living room, they placed one photo. The 6 of them standing together, arms around one another, under the guava tree. The sun rose gently over Lagos. It was a Saturday morning like many others, but something felt different. The air was softer. The breeze carried something light and warm, like hope. Inside her new house, Mama Sarah was already awake. She wore her best wrapper, even though there was no special event on the calendar. Or so she thought. She heard movement outside. Whispers. Laughter. Then a knock. She opened the door. All 5 of them stood there, Tope, Daimeji, Kola, Fola, and Sei, dressed in matching native attire. Soft blue with white embroidery. Clean. Joyful. Full of love. Tope stepped forward. "Mama. We have one last surprise." She blinked. "Again? Haven't you all given me enough already?" Sei grinned. "No, Mama. You gave us everything. We're just trying to catch up." They took her by the hand and gently led her outside.
Across the street, something shimmered in the light, a brand new house, 2 stories tall, painted in a gentle cream color. It had large glass windows, a garden blooming with hibiscus, and a wraparound porch with a swinging chair just like the one she'd always admired in magazines. Parked in front of it was a sleek, silver SUV with a bright red bow across the windshield. Her knees buckled slightly, and Kola held her steady. "Mama," Daimeji said softly, "this house is yours. No rent. No mortgage. Your name is already on the papers. The car too," Fola added. "It has an automatic start AC and—" Sei elbowed him playfully. "And it can fit all your market bags." Sarah placed a hand over her mouth. Her eyes welled up, not with sorrow, but with something gentler. Something like peace. "But why?" she whispered. Tope smiled. "Because when we had nothing, you gave us love. When we felt forgotten, you gave us names. When we were lost, you gave us direction." Daimeji continued. "You never reminded us of what you lost. You only reminded us of what we still had. And now," Sei said, stepping forward with the car keys, "we're giving back. Not just because we can, but because we want to. With all our hearts." She looked at them, grown, strong, grounded. Yet still her boys. She opened her arms. And all 5 of them leaned into her embrace like they were children again. No cameras. No crowds. Just the quiet joy of a life well lived and love returned tenfold. Later, they had lunch together in the new house. Kola made egusi, with a little too much pepper. Fola set the table. Sei played music from a speaker he hid in her kitchen. Daimeji checked her light switches like an inspector. And Tope sat beside her, holding her hand in his. The room echoed with laughter. Sarah looked around. And for the first time in a long time, she said out loud what had only lived in her heart. "This is more than I ever dreamed. But I'm not surprised. Because I know the kind of sons I raised." They all lifted their glasses of Zobo. "To Mama," Tope said. "The heart of our home." "To Mama," the boys echoed. And outside, in the golden light of evening, the house stood quietly. A symbol of what love can build, not quickly, not loudly, but completely. And so the story ends. Not with riches, but with roots. Not with power, but with peace. They were never just 5 boys. They were 5 sons. And they returned.